Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the book review. Alright friends, hello and welcome to my reading vlog and a review of Two Wrongs by MARIANO. Just want to show that off. I don't have my physical copy yet though. I'm sure I will by the time this video goes up, because I am planning to hold it for a little bit since this will mostly be a spoiler vlog. Now, this little bit in the beginning is going to be a spoiler-free part of it, but as soon as I get into the clips, it will be spoilers because I was actively trying to figure out what was going on in this book, but I want to give a little bit of context to the story, give you just the briefest of hints of what's going on, just in case you want to know. And then, you know, I'll have already, I'm sure, reviewed this in a weekly wrap-up a little bit. So you can also watch that weekly wrap-up. I'll have linked here if you want a really bare bones for it. So you already know what I rated it and stuff like that I'll talk about. But this has been such a whirlwind. I read it basically in like 12 hours and I vlogged it. And I haven't vlogged a reading experience in a long time. I generally don't have time to do that. I'm going to say that so many times in this video. I don't know. I have hours of footage of this, as you can tell by the runtime. But I just really want to do it. So a couple other things to note. Number one, I filmed most of this yesterday. I just jumped right into filming the clips. So in the first clip, I go over Sam's like author warning and everything, so I won't do that here. What do I even want to talk about in this part? I don't know. I want to do the non-spoiler part here, but once I switch to me on my couch, you'll know that there will be spoilers and won't be safe. But anyway, this was her new release and it's a standalone, though let me say this part. It's a standalone, though the epilogues connect to her coastal elites. So let's say this. So, but I still wouldn't call it like a coastal elite standalone, like in the way that Brutal Ambition is. Like truly, no other characters overlap until you get to the epilogue at all. You'll understand when you read it what I mean. Like truly, there's not even a reference to them. The only reference at all is that there's a talk of Calhoun College when they are talking about a college. They don't reference any of the people there or anything until we have like the time jump to school at the very end. So you can read this if you haven't read anything with the coastal elites, because it'd be no different than showing up at college in any other book, because if you don't know those people, it doesn't matter. It doesn't reference any of the plot lines that have happened. It just mentions the names. So you can put that out there. Number one, this kind of feels like a thriller, and though in the little like warning from MARIANO I'm about to read, she tells you, of course, like, it's best if you don't know any triggers in here. I'm one of those people, like, I'm going to tell you what a few of them are just so that you can know if you want to pick this up. Because, again, if you are going to want to read this, you're not going to want to watch my spoiler vlog. Like, you really won't, because really there's kind of one main twist to this book. And if you watch even kind of the first clip of mine, I'm just telling you, I kind of guess what's going on right away. Just telling you, I did pick it up pretty soon. I'm pretty proud of myself. But, so if you watch even a little bit of the spoilery part, you're going to be on the track to what's going on, you know, which was fun. Like, that's the point. Like, this was fun. Like, it gave me the vibes. You'll hear me reference near the end of when I was reading Pen Pal, not because it is, it's not that type of dark romance. It's not paranormal. It's not an unconventional HEA. It's none of those things. I just mean where the, like, I was trying to figure out what was going on, because it was very clear it wasn't like it seemed. But after some of the like initial kerfuffle in the beginning, it really kind of settled into this weird vibe where I was like, what is happening? Like, what is going on? And so every 25%, I like update the vlog, and I have a couple clips of me reading, particularly when, the big reveal happened. I turned my camera on because like I knew, because what happened too is that this does have dual POV. However, only 2 chapters are from the hero's point of view and they don't happen until late. So I knew, like, I just knew, I was like, okay, well, once we get his POV, we're going to find out what's going on here. Like, I was like, that's going to be the big reveal, is once we get in this sucker's head, we're going to know what it's been. And so I turned on my camera when we switched to his POV, and sure enough, it explained a hell of a lot of what was going on. And you'll find out how right or how wrong I was about what the big secret was. So anyway, this book starts off with, and this is kind of in the blurb, kind of not. So again, if you don't want to know any more, know that I gave this 4 stars by the end of it. It is not her darkest book, though you may think it will be when I tell you what the blurb is. I have to tell you, this is so hard to say because Sam Mariano is a breed of her own in the way that Pam Godwin is. You know this. If you are newer to dark romance or you read the type of dark romance like Rena Kent, there are parts of it that aren't going to feel as dark as other things. And then there are parts of it that are going to feel so fucked up that you're like, how can you even be okay with this? Because it's a lot of a mental game. It's much more of a mental game than it is physically the things that are happening to this heroine. It's much more of an emotional and mental game, what's going on. And that's going to be different for everybody, right? So there's that. I mostly was so stressed because you're like, when's the shoe going to drop? When's stuff going to get revealed? Like, nothing feels safe beneath your feet the whole time. So yeah, let me just give you the real basics of this. But the biggest triggers to know is that there was previous SA. And when we start this book, our heroine is on the way to shoot her grapist. I hate saying that, but a good portion of this video, I just say the regular word. So in this beginning clip, I'm going to use careful words because I just say the word in the rest of the video. So let's keep the beginning part clean. And she's not planning to come back. And I'll say too, in the beginning, I thought, cause she references like, she's not planning to come back. And I thought that meant she was planning to, she was going to shoot this person and unalive herself. But really, she's planning to shoot this person and then get arrested. That's what she thinks. She's not planning to self-harm, but she's not planning to come home. She was raped by this person. The criminal justice system failed her. The town failed her. He was rich. They, all turned on her. They said it was consensual. They said she wanted it because she was friendly with his family, because she was invited to this party, because she fell asleep in his room, because she was drunk and she didn't have any signs of a struggle. And so saying no wasn't good enough. And when the case was dismissed, her life was ruined. She hadn't really kept up with school. She didn't even apply to colleges. Her mom just wanted her to stop fighting it so much. Like, she lost everything. Her boyfriend is now her ex-boyfriend. He didn't really stand by her enough. And so she's gotten a weapon and she goes. And when he opens the door, she's going to end him and then wait for the police to show up. That's her plan. However, she does do that. This is literally the start of the book. But when she does that, the twin brother of the man she shoots is there. And instead of maybe a normal reaction of him freaking out, maybe of him attacking her, he instead helps her cover up the crime. And that is the beginning of this book. And she doesn't know why. And that starts off a very strange run of events. And it goes from there. So that's the start of the story. And this book is a romance between Tor and Cassie. And with the inciting incident, the inciting incident, I guess, was a year before when she was raped. But the inciting incident in this story is Tor just watched her. Well, not watched her, but came upon the scene of her having killed his brother. And instead, he picks her side and helps her cover it up. And then they begin a relationship or fake a relationship so that they can cover up this murder. So it was wild. And what you will now see, if you choose to continue, is me trying to figure out Tor Walters and what the heck is up with him. And along with Cassie, who was at the lowest point of her life, now in a relationship with someone who looks like the man who assaulted her, and also the man who from her point of view, was standing by his brother who had assaulted her and being maybe welcomed into the family, who had been, you know, who she just killed their son. And she's now lying about that. Like, that's what the setup of the story is. So I'll stop there. And again, I'll have, you know, kind of talked about this book in other places. But that's as much as I can say without saying any more. All those questions that might be swirling in your head, they were swirling in mine. I gave it 4 stars. It was twisty. The triggers really are that she was previously essayed. There's a shooting on the first chapter. And there's a heck of a lot of emotional and mental manipulation going on in this book. Will say that. I mean, and probably some dubious consent, but I mean, you'll just have to see. It's, again, there's no like serious physical violence because we don't really relive the assault that she had before. So anyway, in terms of that, it's not that. So anyway, that's it. I'm going to leave. This video is already long enough, and you'll see me looking like this again at the end when I tell you my final thoughts. So thank you so much, and enjoy the ride, y'all. Bye-bye. All right. Hi, guys. Hello. So I am going to give you the first update for 2 Wrongs by Sam Mariano. And I haven't done a reading vlog in a long while. But this is going to be a spoiler vlog because, yeah, you're going to have to deal with the air conditioner for some of these, like a regular vlog, because it is quite hot. So I apologize for that. But I'm not going to get up and turn off the air conditioner every time I'm going to film a clip. So I'll just bring you in a little bit closer. And, well, take off my glasses because they're just to help me with the screens and everything anyway. So, anyway. I haven't done a reading vlog in a while, but this is going to be a spoiler vlog because I'm actually trying to like solve this thriller, or what I'm thinking of calling it. I mean, we'll find out when I put this all together because I don't quite know how I'm going to put this vlog together. You know, I'm sure I filmed an intro clip and all that stuff, blah, 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 referencing myself and whatever. But I'm planning to call this, I don't know, like Solve the Psycho or whatever, because Sam Mariano has given some really fun teases about what this book is about. But she's also the kind of author that, I mean, having been writing for how long as she is, if this is your first book from her, I mean, that's awesome. But also, she doesn't really like follow any rules. She is the way paver for a lot of people, and that pisses some people off, right? But she's also someone who she really expects her audience to like be there with her or don't read it, right? Like, she's not forcing her story on you. You don't have to read it if you don't want to. Just know that if there's anything that, like, she says this, maybe I'll pull it up because I actually have both my devices here and I'll tell you why. But you know, when you've been a reader and you're a professional like me, I have a few different devices that I use, obviously. But let me pull up also because this one's quicker to navigate. That is one of the things. My Kindle at that point, it's getting a little slow. But let's go to her author's note, because there's a way that she words this, all right? Like, she has an author's note and content warning, but she doesn't give specific content warnings, okay? She says something like this. She says this. She says, if you're a new reader, I'd like to make an introduction because I'm going to ask something of you. We live in a highly customizable world. You can easily curate your entire experience, making sure you only ever encounter what you're certain you like and what you're already comfortable with. But that can also sort of kill a lot of the suspense that makes reading a book for the first time so exciting. I'm going to ask you if you're able to simply trust me. Trust is a crucial part of the relationship I build between characters on the pages of my stories, and I'd love for you to experience that journey along with them. I want you to know that I value your experience and I'm going to take care of you, so let go of the need to know everything before you read the first page. Trust me and let me take you on this journey. Woo! I was like, vibrating when I was reading this. My face tingles, even though I'm not a first time reader and I know a lot of the shit that she'll pull. Like, I know a lot of the shit that she'll do. She says this: if this is your first San Mariano, please be advised that this is a dark romance with a ruthless hero, she puts quotation marks, who probably ends up with a little or a lot more than he deserves. This is a work of fiction, and this is in no way condoning being or dating a horrible person in real life. If you are triggered by manipulative personalities or sexual assault and looking to avoid being triggered, this book is not for you. This story is psychologically dark and touches on subject matter that some people may find upsetting. So that's really, I'm just telling you too, this is really the only like trigger warning as to what the content is that she's going to give you. Because she's saying, like, if those type of things are triggering, you don't need to know the specifics. Don't read this. And, you know, I will not turn this vlog into that type of discussion. I've had those discussions in other places. I both agree and disagree with San Mariano in different places and in different forums. I think there needs to be more or less trigger warnings depending upon those things, right? But let me finish her thing and then I'll say more. She says, this story is psychologically dark and touches on subject matter that some may find upsetting. I don't write for shock value, and I'm not going to make a grocery list. But if you're interested in a psychologically dark romance and you aren't triggered by any type of fuckery you typically find in a San Mariano book, you are in the right place. So that one's for a regular reader, not for a new one. I hope you enjoy reading the story as much as I enjoyed writing it. So that is the warning that she gives, and I immediately was like, oh my god, I'm so excited. What is this going to mean? There's also some hints in the blurb, which I get it. I get some people not wanting to read the blurb at all, too. I absolutely do. But in aspect of her saying, like, it's psychologically dark, if you don't want to read a manipulative personality or sexual assault, don't read it. But there is a bit of another hint in what the blurb is as to what we're dealing with, because there's a hint about Cassie saying that, like, this was going to be her last day or something like that. So there definitely was suicidal ideation, PTSD, sexual assault, all those things. Again, I'm not going to do a grocery list either. Like, there are some authors, and I say this, that they have earned the trust because they don't do things for shock value. And I said I wasn't going to go into it, but I'm going to go into it. I think what I mean too about there needs to be trigger warnings when you're reading romances in places you don't expect to find triggering content, and then authors put it in there, and that's when it's triggering, right? Like, if you're reading a contemporary romance and there's a graphic assault on page with no warning, that is going to be triggering. And in my opinion, the author does mean it to shock you, okay? And that's not really fair, because that's not what you went into that for when you picked up a book that on the cover has, like, 2 girls running off a pier and jumping into the water. Sorry, it is a crazy storm today as well. This is another day it's perfect to read this psychological thriller I got going on here. So, anyway, whatever. I'm not going into that. I'm going to tell you what's happening in this book because I want to get into reading it, but I need to do a starting clip for what I've read so far, because I did start reading it as soon as it dropped on my Kindle. I pre-ordered the paperback, which I plan to have finished this book long before the paperback shows up. Also, Sam said she's planning to do special editions for this book. I already know I want it. Like, I'm 124 pages in, which I feel like is enough to tell you guys a clip, and then I'm going to tell you what I think is going on, and that'll be that. So, in regards to all the rest of everything is going to have spoilers. Like I said, I will have filmed a clip on the front, and that will be probably all the non-spoilery parts that there is. But I want to do a spoiler vlog for this because I want to guess and I want to get my reactions to things, because I never do that anymore. That isn't really what my channel is. I don't have time to do that. Any vlogging I do is normally for my Patreon, just because I don't have time in my schedule. But things worked out. I'm not completely ahead of schedule on all my work, but I have this little window of time where it's a rainy day today. I caught up on some of my Patreon work. This book dropped. I have the whole day ahead of me and about like 300 pages left to read of this book, and I want to record my reactions for it, and then I want to review it, because who knows when the next book from Sam is coming. And there's just nothing better of a treat than getting to, like, read one of her books and react to it for you guys. So that's what I'm going to do. So what's happening so far? Again, last chance to get out before spoilers, because I'm going to tell you what's happening, and I'm also going to make guesses about what I think is happening, because there's what has happened, but it's also only from Cassie's point of view so far. And we'll go from that. So there are so far kind of like 4 characters who've really been important up to where I'm at, and one of them's now dead, or maybe. We have Cassie, and the book starts out with her planning to go basically on like a end of life mission, let's just say. We learn that she was SA'd by a guy named Tim. We know that Tim has a twin named Tor, so there's Timothy and Torrance, okay? And they actually live, or partially live, at a lake house that's not far from her family's house. And a year ago, when she was 17 in the summer, she was SA'd by Tim. She went to a party at that lake house, and she was flirting with Tim, and I think she was roofied. I think that's what I'm getting from it. She might have just gotten too drunk that night. I'm not quite sure fully about that. But either way, it went further than she wanted to, and she was assaulted by Tim. And when she went to the police, that family is extremely wealthy, and it was a he said, she said. He says that she wanted it. What's the big deal? It was just sex. She's fine. And things have basically kind of ended. And even her mother and her, like, any people around in town, you know, have taken the side of the wealthy boy. Basically, what this is feeling like, I'm interjecting here, this feels like the thing of, like, I don't know, it feels like another take on Untouchable. And I love when that happens, where she actually pushed it to the point of trying to get justice for herself, almost, right? What would have happened if you took the person to account and it didn't work, you know? So she gets a gun from her ex-boyfriend, who she was actually dating this guy, like, at the time that this happened. So that's the thing too, she went to this party with her friends because it wasn't far from her home. She wasn't planning to hook up with Tim. She had a boyfriend, but she ended up doing that, and then things didn't work out with her boyfriend. But she gets a gun from her ex, and at the very start of this book, she goes to the lake house. So she's now 18, it's a year later, and she's not planning to make it out of there. She's planning to kill Tim and kill herself. That is the plan. So I don't know how much of that's going to get censored. Wow, I don't remember I don't know, whatever. But so she knocks on the door, and she double checks to make sure. I can't remember what the words are when this, I don't know if I'm going to go through this page. We might as well, so that I get it right, because there's something that she does, because she knows that Tor's there. She knows that Tor could possibly be there, and she wants to make sure that she has the right one. In 6th grade, Timothy got glasses. So he got contacts the following year, but right now it's late and he's ready for bed, so he's wearing glasses. Tor doesn't wear glasses. So when he speaks, it removes the last trace of doubt. What are you doing here, Pitchard? He doesn't sound tired. He doesn't sound afraid, despite my gun being pointed at his chest, and that kind of pisses me off. Put the gun down, he says. No, I say. You're not going to shoot me. Why not? Because you're not. Because you're crazy, but you're not that crazy, he smirks. And my heart flutters with nerves. He shouldn't be so calm. What an asshole that he can't even react appropriately now. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to go according to plan. I just have to pull the trigger. I'm not crazy, I say, which I realize would sound more convincing if I didn't have a gun pointed at him. He sighs. Look, it's been a long fucking year, and I'm tired of this. Tell me what you want from me. You know what I want. Justice. He smiles, shaking his head. I don't think that's what you got. It is, I grind out. I don't think that's what you want. It is, I grind out. I wouldn't have put myself through all this shit if I didn't. His smile persists. I can think of other reasons you'd put yourself through all this shit, and none of them sane, but, well, stop calling me crazy. He says, I didn't rape you, Pritchard. His words are like a wrecking ball. Yes, you did. He went back with his friends, and I stayed where I was. I shake off the memory. So anyway, you asked what I want, I say. I did. I want you to admit what you did to me, I say, refusing to lose my focus. And I want you to be sorry. He has the audacity to laugh, and I feel my heart, which has turned to stone over the past year, crack and crumble as he shakes his stupid head. Then he says the words that seal both our fates. Enough with the theatrics, Pritchard. The show's over. There's no one left in the audience. It was just sex. It is not that deep. Me groveling may be what you want, but what you need is to get the fuck over it. His callous words clarify that I'll never get the apology I need from him. Not even a private one just between us. So I pull the trigger. Okay, so sorry that I just read that, but I just wanted to show the case that a couple things happen in there that put me in doubt about some stuff that happens next. So she's pretty sure that it's Timothy that answered the door because he's wearing glasses. Let me take a drink. I have a lot of thoughts. This is going to be a really long vlog. She's pretty sure Timothy answered the door. He says he didn't rape her. She says, yes, you did. He says, you need to get the fuck over it. She shoots him in the chest. And then we go to the next chapter. And he says, what the... he looks down. There's red coming through. And then he falls down. And then she hears, what the fuck? And we see that Tor is there. Now, she's pointing the gun at Tor. And this is when things get holy shit weird. Because she doesn't just immediately kill herself. Now she's confronted by Tor, and she's crying, and Tor starts comforting her, and he says, let me think. And she is a little befuddled by this, and confused about why he's not freaking out that she just shot his brother, his twin brother, in front of him. Okay? He asked for the gun. She's like, no, you can't have it. He starts saying, I'm not going to hurt you, so don't hurt me. Just let me take the gun so you don't get hurt by accident. We don't want an accident, right? And he says, let me come up with a plan. We have to work something out. So anyway, I won't read this entire thing, but he is like, the cops are going to be on their way. Come up to my room, get in my bed, and we are going to come up with a story that you and I have started seeing each other. And this, we haven't let anybody know because it would have been very weird if you had started seeing the twin of the man who raped you, supposedly. But you were already here in my bed. Someone else shot my brother. So that seems like quite a crazy story, but she's a bit in shock. And so she kind of just lets Tor manipulate this whole thing around her. And that is what continues to unfold as we go. It is a wild ride, okay? Like, there's even more details to this. So in just like the next chapter or so, he sets this all up. He gets her up in his bed and he's like, we have to make it look like we actually were having sex here, so we have to have proof of this. So he somehow convinces this girl to take off all her clothes. He does put on a condom and like have sex with her in his bed right after she shot his brother. I'm not shitting you. With perfect explanation. And then he disposes of the condom and he's like, oh, the cops are here. And now they get separated. And she regurgitates the tale that he's told her to tell. And then, okay, so I said there was like 4 people that are kind of important so far. There was Tor and Tim. Tim's now dead. I guess there's 5 that are kind of important. Because then Tor says, we need to get you a lawyer because they're going to think that it's you. Which, again, it is her. So she's just waiting for them to figure it out. But Tor's like, just keep doing what I tell you to do. And she's willing to keep going along with what he's saying because she's like, well, I mean, I did do it and I could go to jail at any moment, but he's now made himself an accomplice to the murder of his brother, and he did not have to do that. And then the next step is he gets his family lawyer hired as her lawyer, okay? The same lawyer who was making her look like a crazy liar for the last year for accusing Tim of raping her. So now this man is her lawyer. Okay, so we then proceed to the next day where first she has an interview with the police she sticks to the story that Tor told her to say. Then the next day she meets with the lawyer, and she has to meet with the lawyer alone, and the lawyer tells her, there are a few things. If I'm going to be representing you, we have to clear out any conflict of interest. Tim may be dead, but he's still owed certain confidentiality things. So if there's anything about my protecting you that would, I don't know, sully the family name, I guess, is what they're saying. And this is where, okay, I have some theories. We'll get to what my theories are once I recount what I've gotten through up to this point. Maybe I should even pull up what it said. I don't know. No. I don't want to turn all of this into just reading the book to you. You got to read some of it yourself. But he's explaining to her that, like, because Tor met with the lawyer first. That's also very important to share. Met with the lawyer first. Now she's meeting with the lawyer. And he's saying, like, you understand that, you know, if anything that you say that you're lying to me about and it conflicts with Tor's story, like, basically saying, like, he's picking them over her. And she's like, okay. And they go through the whole story, blah, 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 blah. So that just left me feeling a bit hinky. And also her, too. She's like, I don't want this guy as my lawyer. He's been making me look like a liar all this time. And, like, Tim rapes me. And also Tor points out, he's like, don't you want kind of the irony of, like, the family who, you know, don't you want them to have to pay for it somehow? And now they're going to be paying for possibly your defense. And he's all, too, he's like, and this is all subjective. Like, that's only if they end up arresting you for this. And he's like, I don't think they're going to. I think our cover story is going to work. But if you end up getting arrested for this, wouldn't it be ironic if they're defending you for, you know, the death of their son when, you know, before they were making you look crazy? And she's like, I mean, I guess, but also, why are you doing this? So there's more of that to suss out still. I can't go over every minute in this, but laying out the facts. Now, another piece that comes in. She got this gun from her ex. The police had went to talk to her ex. And now her ex comes to talk to her and ask for the gun back. Because he's like, what happened to this gun? Tim is now dead. This man who supposedly raped you. And the police have conveniently, of course, stirred things up and said that she was there to sleep with Tor. So Tim is dead and she was there sleeping with Tor. So Russell, and let's just say I don't have any big love of Russell, but he's not exactly wrong for the conclusions that he's jumped to. Because he gave the girl the gun and she did exactly with the gun that he thinks she did with the gun. And she did also sleep with Tor. But of course he comes off as slimy because he's like, you would fuck Tor, the brother of the guy who raped you, but we haven't had sex. So again, his motives, not great. But also, Sam does these twisted things where he's saying things that are true, they just are disgusting at the same time. He's making them sound so gross, but also they're facts at the same time. So Tor has given her a burner phone and given her these code words to use when she texts him on the burner phone. Very smart, man. This creeps me out. The only thing always that's unrealistic about Sam's book is, why do these kids got to be 18? They're not 18. The things they know, I'm like, come on. And I do wonder if this group will end up being connected with the secret society somehow, because he just has people who can help him with things that I'm like, even if his family's wealthy, I'm like, who's your help, buddy? Who's your help here, right? So, she's like, hey man, Russell was just trying to get the gun and he knows that we slept together and like all these things. So Tor says, all right, you're going to meet me at a hotel or a motel, wherever they're at, and then you're going to check in and I'm going to go and get rid of the gun. Now, he asks some very interesting questions then. He says, I want you to keep the phone on, and when I get back, you're going to let me in so I don't have to use the key. He's very smart, so I don't have to scan the key card. He's like, it's going to look like we entered and we never left the whole night because we're going to be each other's alibi, and he's going to get rid of the gun. But before he leaves her, he asks if Russell is right or left-handed, which, come on, we all know. We know. I haven't seen the conclusion of this part yet, where I'm at, but I mean, Russell obviously is going to kill himself. We're going to try to pin it on Russell. That's the number one thing my first prediction I'm making that I think is as easy as the sun rising in the east, because he asked what hand Russell uses, and wouldn't it be perfect to blame it on Tim, and it could look like Russell is the one who killed Tim in retaliation for what happened to his girlfriend, like bing bada bing bada boom, that's who we blame it on. That's what I think is going to happen, and then yeah, that's my first guess. So but anyway, he wakes up, and now Tor has also said, like, we're going to have to keep up this facade that we're seeing one another, so that, facade that we're seeing one another, because otherwise they're not going to believe us, So, where I'm at right now is that Tor came back from whatever he was doing that night, took a shower, they had sex again. This time he didn't use a condom. Sam Mariano loves to do this. Oh, are you on birth control? After he's already fucked her. They joke about her having a baby, but he would have to raise it because she's going to be in prison. He's like, you're not going to go to prison. It's going to be fine. Pretty sure he murdered Russell in the night. And in the morning, there's missed calls from her mom, and we haven't talked to her mom yet. So I'm pretty sure Russell turned up dead, and Russell's the one who killed Tim now. So we're about to find that out. So all of this has happened so far. I am on chapter 12, page 124, a quarter of the way into this book, okay? Holy crap, this is such a ride, and things just feel so pleasant. Things just feel so nice right now, right? Like, she's scared she's going to get arrested, but the way I see it unraveling, like, sure, I think we'll be able to somehow pin this on Russell maybe, but there are some things that are obviously questions. Tim, before she shot him, said, I didn't rape you, Pilchard, whatever her name is. Now, that could have just been him in denial, saying that it was consensual sex, whatever, or he really might not have raped her. What if it was Tor, right? Like, I think that's what we're maybe supposed to think, is that Tor maybe is the one all along who'd raped her, right? Also, he has the same DNA as his brother. That's already been brought up twice. Maybe because she was drunk, she's in Tim's bed. Maybe Tor's the one who did it, because he's always wanted her anyway. And his brother was just like, yeah, we got each other's backs, whatever. They're not going to be able to prove it. They're blaming you, but it was really me. That's fine. So now Tor's like, okay, you took out Tim. Or the other possibility, why Tor would be so okay with his brother being killed. What if Tim did rape her, but doesn't see it that way? But he did it because the brothers secretly hated each other, and Tim knew his brother Tor was into Cassie, and so he's the one who invited her to the party just to fuck with his brother, and he's the one who took her virginity and rubbed it in his brother's face. And so when Cassie shows up to get revenge, he doesn't feel any bit of guilt that she kills his brother because, well, you took this thing that belonged to me. So those are the two possibilities I'm running with of, like, why he doesn't care that Tim got killed. If I want the Sam Mariano twisted version, I think Tor's the one who raped her from the beginning. Like, I do, because even she doesn't remember the actual assault herself. Now, the only reason I'm a bit unsure is that she remembers flashes of the first time of when she was raped. And now she also has the experiences of when she has sex with Tor, like having sex with him. And those are very, like, pleasant experiences, kind of. I mean, the first time when they're doing it, when the cops are about to show up, that's not that pleasant. But she also isn't really having PTSD of having this, of what would be the same man over her. I don't know. I really have no clue. But if I wanted to believe the, Sam Mariano twistedness of it, I would believe he's the one who raped her and she just truly doesn't remember that. But it's also like, Tim, I don't know, we know nothing about Tim at all, because he's dead in the first chapter. So, yeah, I have no idea. The other clue to that, sorry, I told you I have a lot to say. The other clue to that is that Tor met with the lawyer first, And very specifically, the lawyer was asking questions about how, you know, your case going after this family basically needs to be done now if I'm going to protect you against this, which would lead me to believe that if later on she should find out that Tor is really the one who had raped her before, you know, now they're going to know that she's the one who shot Tim, and she'll really be trapped because of everything Tor did. Like, all that is done now. So those are my thoughts on it right now. I even made, let me see where my little like notes is. I made a little note here, and I'll read it to you guys before I get into this. Okay, I made the guess here, which I think I explained. I said, Tor wanted her, Tim raped her to have her first. Now Tim's out of the way, Tor will make her need him the most. So that was my guess kind of before the lawyer stuff though. But now the lawyer stuff made me think that maybe it was Tor who raped her, but Tim got blamed for it. And because Tim didn't do it, he was like, yeah, let her blame me. There's no way that she can prove it was me because it wasn't me. And she didn't even think to blame Tor. Because if the only way she can tell them apart is like if Tim has his glasses on or not, how would she know, you know? So anyway, this was the 30-minute, but this was, I think, going to be the biggest clip because I needed to catch you up to where I was at. Now, I'm going to get my little cozy thing set up here. Let me show you. I have all of my snacks. I actually love these. These are the Nescafe. This is my espresso jars. These are glass jars. They're great. Now, they have these plastic lids, so they don't work well for holding liquids, but I love putting snacks in them. So I put all these whales, which are in a huge, or no, these are the turtles. These are the turtles. They're in the huge box, so I put them in the jars. So I have that. I have some probiotic lemon berry yogis, and I have some dark chocolate blueberries. It is only 2:30 right now. It feels like it's 8 o'clock at night, but I have the whole day today. I don't have anything else going on. And I'm going to try to get through the next, I have 340 pages of this. So I think I'm going to read the next 25%, and then I'll come back in and let you know. Like, I have no idea how long she'll stretch it out, how long things will be a mystery, but I gotta tell you, like, the way this started off was like a thriller, and it was like bam, 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 bam. Like, it's crazy. So yeah, I'm super excited, and I'm having the time of my life, and that's why we're vlogging this. And yeah, I have my two devices. I have my the reason I have the two devices, so let me tell you, I'll back this up a little bit. I have my one to set my Kindle up so that I can have snacks and not be touching the screen and everything, because I have my Kindle clicker right here so I can have snacks. But I do like taking notes better on my Scribe, so I also have that. So I have options depending on how I want to read. So there we go. I will be back later with an update at 50%. All right. Hi friends. I'm back for the next update, and I am now at chapter 21, page 205, 44%. So this seemed like a good place to stop because I think there's going to be some more intense reveals, though we just had, I mean, reveals is the wrong word. There still hasn't been anything revealed more than before. It's just that Cassie's becoming aware of some of the things that we noticed. Sorry, I'll take these off again. But I'm definitely glad I have those on. But things about, oh my gosh. Okay, so let me pull up my notes on this. Like I said, I'm using my Kindle Scribe. It's what I have been using, and our last check-in was at chapter 12. So I was right. We found out Russell was dead, and they had to, so after he had fucked her at the hotel, they got a call from the lawyer the next day. And Tor takes the call, and he says, we need to go in to talk to the police, but we're going to go meet with the lawyer first. And she, of course, thinks this is it. She's going to be arrested, so she keeps making some jokes about going away to prison, and it's really starting to sink in that she's going to go to jail for this. But, like, she you know, she's not really having those feelings that she feels, you know, that she feels better about what she did. And she's also like, I might be taking him down with me. You know, does that make you feel any better to have done that? Not really, you know. But then when they get to the lawyer, and the lawyer starts questioning her about Russell, and she's expecting it's that Russell went to the police because, as we had mentioned, Russell was threatening to go to the police, but he was doing it from this place of like jealousy that, you know, he'd heard she was seen with Tor, not because he was, I don't know, it was just weird. But we knew that Tor had killed Russell, like we know. But Cassie doesn't know this because Tor had come back, cleaned himself up, and fucked her. And then they went to the lawyers the next day, and now she's finding out that Russell's dead. And she's no dummy. She clicks into place what happened, you know. She should have maybe clicked it into place before when he asked her the question, is Russell right or left-handed? And were there any questions, you know, like, did you text with him at all about him giving you the gun? And on the way to the lawyers, he you know, he was like, we shouldn't talk too much about it or it'll sound rehearsed, but he was asking her these questions. But it's all sinking in. And so she panics, which can come across as her being shocked that her ex-boyfriend is dead. But then she's hearing Tor, and Tor is kind of explaining this indignantly to the lawyer as like, yeah, I mean, he was jealous. And I mean, didn't he find out that we were sleeping together? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he killed my brother out of jealousy. It absolutely could have happened. And it was Russell's gun, and he had left a note like saying such. So that is what happened. Tor is going to set up Russell as having done this. So Cassie is freaking out, and she like needs some space, and it's all clicking into place that she's like, he just killed an innocent guy. And it is horrific to her. And even though she just had killed someone, in her mind, she's getting justice with her kill. You know, like Tim wasn't innocent. Tim raped her. He wasn't going to get justice, and she was willing to take the fall for this, right? Now, I'll be honest too, I had read this that she was going to kill herself after ending Tim, and I had felt that maybe like Tor had gotten in the way. The reason why I had felt this was just a few hints about her never going to see places again, but I think that's because she was gonna like sit around till the police came. Like she wasn't planning to get away with this, right? And Tor like changed all that. So maybe she wasn't ever like self-harm wasn't in her mind. She just was like, you know, I'm doing the cop's job for them type of thing. But anyway, so she puts all of this into mind. So she kind of tries to run away, and Tor, he's like, no, I'm not going to give you space, because I think giving you space would give you too long to spiral, which again, in a psychopath's mind, he ain't wrong about it. And she's like, let me pull it up. This is another one. Like, I don't want to read the whole thing to you, but I kind of got to do it because I got to find the quote here. Here it is. Okay, here's the stuff. So she's saying, right here, she's like, let me find where she says about it. Okay. She pulls it together in the moment, and they go through the interviews, and now, they're on their own. And he's like, you can trust me. Why would you ever think you couldn't? Okay. It's crazy motherfucker. Why do you think you couldn't trust me? And she's like, you weren't honest with me last night. And he's like, come on, Cassie. You know I couldn't tell you what I was going to do. And she's like, or what you did. After you did it, you came back to the motel room and you fucked me. Don't tell me that wasn't calculated. His jaw tightens. Of course it was. How did you think I would feel about it today? I asked, or was that not a consideration? Of course I considered it. Okay, and you think I would be happy knowing that the first time we really had sex, because again, she's not really counting that first time that they were just, you know, leaving DNA evidence behind. How do you think I would feel the first time we did it? You had my ex-boyfriend's blood all over your hands. He shrugs. I showered first. This isn't a joke, Tor. You took the life of someone I loved. Ooh, and rather than look a damn bit sorry, he wraps his hand around my throat and pushes me against the door and says, then we're even. Okay, and then He says this, I won't read the whole part, but I'll read the beginning. He says, don't get me wrong. Killing my brother is the most interesting thing you've ever done, and I understand why you did it, but I loved him. The most interesting thing you've ever done? How does he know that? What does he know about her that he thinks that's the most interesting thing she's ever done? He was my twin, which is inarguably a closer bond with you than you had with your first boyfriend. I still chose you. As soon as I saw the gun in your hand and registered what happened, I knew I had to make a choice and stick with it. I didn't even try to help him. I helped you instead. Okay, I'm going to skip all this part here. And he says, I own your loyalty. I paid for it in blood. And then she says, I didn't ask you to do that. And he says, I know you didn't ask me to do any of this, but you needed me too. Okay, so that's how we got here. He decided to do that. Would you hurt me? And he says, yes, but I wouldn't kill you. He says that like it's any kind of reassurance, and I would laugh if I could breathe. He's a fucking psycho. Okay, and then he asks her to prove it, and she has to do that by kissing him. And yeah, it's all crazy. It's all crazy. So she's having these dreams about him. So a few things more to my theory. On the night that he like does allow her to like stay at home, which I was a little bit shocked that he let her sleep at home for a night, but I think it comes back to proof like he's testing her. He's testing her to see what she's going to do. I don't think for a second, based on as we're going, that he truly wasn't watching her. He leaves her with a cart. He leaves her with the burner phone. He's watching her. He absolutely is. I don't believe that he isn't for a second. And he wants to see what she does. But she has a dream, and she's had bad dreams before of like Tim chasing her. And this time she's having a dream of Tor chasing her. So she ends up having to go into work, and like everybody in the town is grieving the loss of Tim. They're wearing these armbands in honor of him, and she's just absolutely disgusted with it. So she goes to work, and who ends up showing up but Tor? He wants to spend time with her, and she like pushes him off. So when she gets off of work, he has taken the car back. Because guess what? He had another key for the car, and the car's gone. And what does she do? She calls him, and she's like, are you, like, why did you take the car? Let me get to it, sorry. Because he had come in, he'd come in. And he's like, because he had asked her to come and stay at the lake house. The lake house where she murdered his brother, also the same place where she'd been raped. He's asking her to come stay at the house with him. And she's like, no, I don't want to. And he's like, well, I might invite another girl then. And she's like, okay, you do that. As she's like kind of wanting to get away from him. And he's trying to threaten her with another girl. But again, I think he's testing her with all these triggers to see if she's going to try to flip on him, if he pushes on these buttons. Okay, he's testing her. So when she gets out, like I said, the car's gone. And she calls him. And he says, you're going to leave me stranded? And he's like, you're not stranded. I'll pick you up. And she's like, and bring me to the lake house. And he's like, yeah, that happens to be where I'm going to stay. So she's like, I'm really not interested in this help if it's going to come with strings. And he's like, it doesn't come with strings. I'll be right there. Well, it turns out he wasn't even gone. He literally was waiting for her. And she's like, I appreciate you giving me this car to borrow, but I don't appreciate you dangling it over my head. And then he says this. He says, I didn't take the car away because you displeased me. And she's like, okay, why? And he's like, I wanted to see who you would call. Oh, are you kidding me? He looks over at me with a glint in his eye that I can't quite put my finger on. You called the right person. You don't have to worry about me taking the car from you again. So she passed another test. Even when he'd like threatened to like see another girl, she called him. So he's trusting her. So he takes her to the lake house, but then she tries to run from him because she doesn't want to go into the house. And so he chases her down. And then we have another explanation where she is just feeling so, like she doesn't want to go into this house with all these bad memories, which is completely understandable. And she says, she's like, I don't want to go in there. I can't breathe thinking about it. And he's like, is it about the other night or last summer? And she's like, about the other night. And she's saying like, what did he say to you? And he's talking about Tim. And this is where I want to make a point in one of my case files here. He has never said Tim's name. To this point, he has only referred to him as he or my brother. He has never said the name of his brother, and that's going to continue for the rest of the bit that like I'm referring to. He never says his brother's name, and that is starting to get Very suspicious at this point. Now, sometimes when he's referencing him, maybe I get it. He's trying not to trigger her, but she'll say Tim's name in her head. You know, she'll say his name when, like, speaking to him. But Tor has never said Tim's name. And I find that very suspicious up to this point. Okay, I'm not 100% sure how Twisty Sam's going with this one. But the way she's talked about this book, I feel like she could be going full twisty twist with it. She could be going full twisty twist with it. So I'm suspicious of everything. Okay, I'm suspicious of everything. And he has only called him he or my brother or my twin. He has never said Tim, ever. Hasn't happened. So I have no idea. I don't know, but I'm suspicious of it. But here's another good piece where she's like, I don't want to remember. I'm sorry he's gone, and I'm not sorry he's gone, and I'm not sorry it's because of me, but I don't understand how you can take the life of someone who didn't do anything to you. So she's like, I'm not sorry Tim's dead, but I don't understand how you could kill Russell. And now we're getting more into his psyche here, which definitely some psychotic logic. Here is what he says. People are capable of all kinds of things, Cassie. There's more than one motivation for doing something terrible. You killed someone who already harmed you. I killed someone who was going to harm you. Possibly. I'm not sorry for the life I took either. What I did may be ruthless, but it was the best way to protect you. For once in your life, just let someone keep you safe. I've never stopped anyone from protecting me. No one wants to. I do, he states, and my heart flutters. I'll do anything to protect you, and I don't know why you'd accept anything less. If I had been your boyfriend last summer, I would have never left you alone to deal with all the shit you went through. Russell didn't stand by you for a second, and I don't understand why you don't see that. He abandoned you the minute things got hard, even when the reason things got hard wasn't your fault. Old excuses come to my lips. He didn't handle things the way I would have liked, but it was hard for him too. Fuck him, Tor says. If another man ever put his hands on what's mine, I'd fucking kill him, and I wouldn't feel a shred of remorse. He brushes a strand of hair away from my face tenderly and says, if I'm your man and my brother rapes you, I'll kill him myself. You don't have to do it. All right. Okay. So couple things are coming there, and I'm almost done with this little update, which isn't little, as you know. We're in full spiral here. What was I even going to say here? He's definitely building loyalty with her, but also it is pretty clear with Cassie, like, she's been so beaten down by so much, and I'm going to get into one other section that points to that as well. She's so primed to have someone almost love bomb her, and just completely be on her side and be willing to go to the ends of the earth for her. She is so desperate and has no one. She was literally at the end of her rope, willing to kill someone and be put in prison forever and not contest it because she has no one on her side. And to have Tor, allegedly Tor, say these words to her, it's like she's so not blinded to who he is in this moment, because he ignores the death of his brother. She knows he didn't stand up for her before when he does believe that she was raped. But yet he's done these things. He's broken the law 7 ways to Sunday at this point for her. So she's really at this point where she's like, okay, so he wants to fuck me and make me his possession, but he's going to do all these things for me. Okay. Like, that's really the tipping point she's getting to with this stuff. And that's what we'll see now. So now they have sex on the boat. So instead of taking her into the house first, they have sex on the boat. And we have this moment of her remembering the boat. So she has a flash of being on the pontoon boat at the party last year. And she does actually now remember Tor. Tor was the one driving the boat, but she wasn't focused on him that night. But she's focused on him now, and he's focused on me. So that's another hint that he was there that night. Which, I mean, of course, we know he was there. We know he was there. The twins were there. They were the ones hosting this party. But this is the first acknowledgement in the story that I have clocked, which, again, I get very pulled away by things, where, like, he was there lurking. He was there watching. That could lead to my theory being, like, was Tim even the one who raped her? Does Tim even remember? Like, that's the thing, too, is I'm like, does Tim even know if he did or not? Because he says it was just sex. Does he even remember? Could he even mount his own defense accurately? right? Does he even know? So just putting that out there. So anyway, they have sex on the boat, super hot. More sex without the condom. More jokes about should we be using birth control or not. Then they go into the lake house and they have more hot sex. But this time the sex gets a little bit dark because they're having really hot sex on the bed, this time using a condom, good to know. And he's letting her be in control, and she's having a really fun time. But then he flips him around, and the only reason I'm describing this scene is because he puts his hand over her mouth and starts saying, shh. And this is what it says here. Okay, I'm going to read it. Suddenly, the ceiling of the room fuses with the identical one down the hall. And for a split second, I'm thrown back to last year when another man is inside of me, another hand clamped over my mouth. Tor holds my gaze, but when he says, shh, my heart stops. Of course, he doesn't know that's what his brother did to me, but I know. Panic starts to build in my chest. Tor shoves into me harder. Breathing increasingly difficult. I tell myself to relax. This is Tor, not Tim. It's okay. I'm okay. I'm not being attacked. Tor cares about me. I care about him. This is nothing like that. It's not his fault. He did the same thing. There's ... in there. And then her heart is hammering in her chest, and he notices, like, do you want to be on top again? And he realizes that she's been crying, but he doesn't mention it. And he lets her be in control again. So, okay, this man doesn't do anything by accident. So there's two things then that pop in my head with this. Okay. There's two things that pop into my head with this is I'm like, again, this fuels one possibility. And it also just added another one that I added to my list of things that could be going on. One, again, is it Tor who raped her? I'm going to keep coming back to that. Is it Tor? Or is he Tim? Like, I don't know. But whatever one, this person who's with her currently, could this be the person who raped her? Whether Tor is the one who did it, or is Tor actually Tim and Tor is the one who died? Like, whichever that possibility is. Those two are kind of the same but different things. Or did Tor watch it happen? Because he is a lurker and, like, he watched it happen. And now he's no longer a lurker anymore and is like, I watched for too long and I want her. Like, I don't know. That's another possibility that popped up because that would explain him not actually having been the one who assaulted her. Wanting, like, being okay with his, because, like, but he didn't stop it before. Because there's a comment in here later too where he's like, I didn't stand up for you before, but I will now. And I will pick you from now on. He's about to say that in the next chapter. So, I don't know. That's also another possibility. Did he not do the rape, but he knew about it and saw it and didn't stand up for her? And now there's kind of this, like, cosmic spin where he's like, no, I'm going all in on her now. My brother's gone. I'm going all in on her because I wanted her and my brother took her and shoved it in my face somehow. Was there a video of it and he saw it and his brother rubbed it in his face? I'm still not fully over that, like, maybe Tim did completely deserve this, right? Because maybe they were a terrible duo together. I don't know. But maybe his brother did this stuff and there was video of it. And Cassie was someone that Tor wanted. And Tim did this to her. And it just, like, ruined the possibility of them being able to be together. Because now she hates their family. The person who raped her looks exactly like him. Like, there's still possibility for that there. But, I mean, I don't want to make Tor a saint. He's obviously not. And I'm not trying. And I doubt Sam Mariano's trying either. Okay, so then we had chapter 20, which was extremely powerful. And it starts off with them just kind of chatting together, like post-coital bliss type of thing, talking about their favorite things back and forth. And then Tor straight up asks, he's like, what do you want out of a relationship? And this, I absolutely can't read this whole thing, but she does kind of break down with him, which, good for her, where she says, like, the thing your brother said that really hurt me was he told me I just needed to get over it. And she's like, it's so stupid. Let me find it. Where did I say it? Your stupid brother. You asked me earlier what he said that night, and he said a bunch of shit. But the last thing he said, he told me I needed to get over it. And it pissed me off so much. Of all the people in the world, he had no right to tell me how or when I needed to do anything. And what pissed me off most of all is that it feels like he never saw all the damage he inflicted. It was not just sex. It wasn't sex, because sex is what we had tonight. Sex is different from what he did, and it was the attack, the violation by someone I knew. It was horrifying, and I felt so stupid and broken, and there's no area of my life that wasn't broken by it. That's what he doesn't get. It wasn't like that for him. It didn't poison every area of his life. He was able to contain it somehow, like something he could put away whenever he felt like it, but I wasn't. Oh my gosh, that is so well realized. And oh my gosh, I have so much to say about dark romance as a whole especially after the discourse on Haunting Adeline. Oh, stuff like this in a book. Okay, then she reminisces about how like it ruined her schooling because people are talking about her in school. She couldn't concentrate. She went from being like school was her thing. She didn't even apply for colleges her senior year. It just all slipped out of her hands. Again, this reminds me so much of Zoe and of how like it could have went for her, but she didn't let it go that way. Oh, so good. And then also how her mother was absolute shit. And then this other piece to end it with. And she said, I can't even stand to look her in the eyes anymore. I can't stand her. And Tor says, don't apologize. She says, I'm sorry, as she's crying. And he says, don't apologize. Anyway, it's like when a rock hits your windshield. The glass doesn't just crack at the place of impact. The damage spreads and weakens wherever there's a fracture, undermining the integrity of the entire thing, and that's what it did to my life. It ripped away so many illusions that I thought were real. It made new cracks and showed me cracks where I never had seen them before. It cost me everything that ever mattered to me. It left me with nothing, and what do you do when you have nothing left? And then Tor said, you rebuild. Not the same structures as before, but something better, informed by what you've learned from the one that collapsed. And then there's more. She says, sorry, this is a lot of dialogue, and we're at like an hour for this vlog. I'm so sorry. Actually, I'm not. I'm just going to keep, because I just love it. It's so good. And then she says, I'm sorry for this conversation. If it's weird for you, I understand why it would be. And he shakes his head and says, no, don't apologize. This conversation needed to happen if we were ever going to really move past it. You needed to say your piece, and I needed to hear it. I'm so relieved that he sees it that way, that a weight I didn't even realize I was carrying falls off my shoulders, and I hug him. That's all I wanted. I know, he says. I'm sorry. It took all this for you to get it. Oh, that's so good. Okay, but then here's the thing. That seems all really sweet. That's great. But then he switches to this, that he's like, you're going to have to meet my family eventually. He shifts into that. And he's like, yeah, I know that they were like against you, but like once you meet them, it will be no big deal. Sorry, he doesn't say it that casually. Like he goes through all these reasons. And she's like, you have a lot of faith that that's going to work. And he's like, that's fine. Just try to be open to it. And he's like, if you can do that, then we can try to start building a life together. And she ends this chapter with, I've never had a boyfriend say something like that to me, but I like it. So they are totally boyfriend and girlfriend now. We've completely decided that. Okay, cool. If someone had asked me at any point before tonight if I thought there was even a remote chance that I would ever build a life with Torrance Walters, it would have been a hard no. But I can't lie. I'm starting to like the sound of it. Okay, so yeah, we are a little less than halfway through. I need to have some snacks and chill for a little bit. We're like an hour into this vlog already. Still where we're playing at, as I said, my like main theories still roll with kind of this two things that like, I think Tor was either the one who initially raped her and or like him and his brother were like in on it somehow of like how that happened. I think Tor's been watching her this whole time. And I just don't know. I don't know how deep his puppetry of it goes. But he absolutely was watching her before that party ever happened. That's going to come about sometime because we had the one revelation of her finding out he killed Russell and him easing her back and being like, you can't get out of this now. We've each done something for each other. We've both paid in blood. We each can get the other arrested. And in fact, like, I hold more of the power. It's his lawyer holds all the cards on it. She'd be left without anything. And he's getting her addicted to him sexually very quickly too. And it's crazy. So she's fucked already too, because nobody has her back at all. She has no one. Her mom doesn't have her back. There's only him. And that's how San Mariano rolls, by the way. Like, she doesn't write heroines who have strength. Not that they don't have strength, that's the wrong word. That have monetary power or a way to get away. Like, she doesn't write heroines like that. It's all about, can their mental fortitude survive, and can they feel happy with who they're with? And this feels like a psychological thriller. And the best part of these type of books, I gotta tell you, the best parts is that I know there's gonna be an HEA. So I just get so fucking excited, because I'm like, how are we gonna get there? And what pieces that I'm reading now, when I reread later on, am I just gonna froth at the mouth over, because I love them so much. But man, this might, I mean, if I did 2-part vlogs, this would be one. But I'll come back in another 25%. That's got to be the way I do it, because I already, when I did, I want to do it again, but we got to do it every 25%. So I'll come back at like 75% and we'll do another update. It's 5 o'clock now, so we'll see how much I get through by then. Check in soon. Okay, this is just going to be a quick one because I think I'm really close to a lot of the revelations. Oh, hey, yeah, also, here's where my Elizabeth and Darcy cross stitches so far. It's looking beautiful. Getting a little bit disheveled here, but I am up to 73%, 339 pages. Whew. I know that I'm just a couple chapters away from finally having a chapter in Tor's point of view, okay? There has been no chapters in Tor's point of view. Since the, 44% when I did an update, there hasn't really been any new, revelations to what we've seen about him. There hasn't been any more serious giveaways or anything like that. He's been, it was confirmed that he was listening to her, but I kind of knew why he was. He gets her moved into an apartment for her, and he just is doing all these really nice things. He, starts sharing kind of what his family is like, how his father is very controlling. His father doesn't really care about the kids that much. He's all about his wife. His wife, half of her job is to be perfect. The other half is to be taking care of the father. and the father makes her life perfect. So he's like, that's kind of what my life is like. And for some reason, like, Cassie doesn't really push against this because she's like, well, as long as he's really good to her, okay. And, oop, there comes the air. Again, gotta move you closer because I'm not turning the air off there. Her mom was absolutely awful to her, blamed her for everything. We haven't seen her mom again. There was a little speed bump where he had the funeral for his brother, and oh, I have another adjustment. Hold on, we'll get there in just a second. And a girl who used to hook up with Tim, which I thought this was going to be a huge revelation, like really, because this girl, Nina, she posted to social media with her arm around Tor, saying like, I'm here to support you. And I thought that was going to be this big revelation that like it was actually Tim or something. But no, it was just Nina, I think, trying to claim the other brother who's still alive. But it made Cassie really jealous, and we're realizing she's possessive of him all of a sudden. And he likes that she's jealous, and so he's like, okay, I will post some pictures with you so that people know. He takes her on a trip to New York and lets her know he's going to be going to Boston. Very much makes me think that he is also will be a part of the wealthy family, like, cult, basically, that everyone's in, or the secret society. Definitely makes me think that. I was shocked. I was actually shocked we didn't get a cameo of anyone we know from another world, like, that we didn't get, yeah, I was actually shocked that we didn't get a look at anyone. But that's okay. I would have loved that, but it's okay that we didn't. I know this was supposed to be a standalone and not complicate the other world she has going on, but also the places that we went, I was kind of surprised. But then, okay, the couple other updates. She asked for her journals back, which that was something I didn't mention way back in the beginning where I was spiraling. But her journals, she had actually written her plan to kill Tim. So one of the things he did was sneak into her room and take her journal, and she asked for her journal back because it was one of the things she used for her, like, mental health. And he says, I don't think you need the journal back. We'll start you a new one. And she's like, well, why can't I have it back? And he's like, you were really focused on Tim in it. So for the first time, he says Tim's name. In my opinion, anyway, from what I've tracked, it's the first time he said Tim's name. And he says, and I think I even tracked it, that it was at like 56% of the book was the first time he said Tim's name. Because I'd been looking for it because he had said my brother or he. He had never called him Tim, which was very strange to me that he had done that he made those choices. But he's like, I don't want you fixated on Tim. You were attracted to him. And oh, that just raised red flags. And luckily Cassie's like, what are you saying? And he's like, it's okay. Like, I know you didn't want him to have sex with you. Like, he raped you, I know. But, like, you were attracted to him and blah, blah, blah. And, like, it's just the way he says it. And, like, she calms down right away. And she's like, she actually works it out where she's like, he's like, you don't have to be defensive. I get it. Like, just because you were attracted to him. But it's also in how he says it. He's like, I saw it. I know. And again, it's going back to the fact, like, I know we're going to find this out. I'm so close to it. It's why, like, I wanted to film one more update. It's very clear that he was watching her. He was watching her beforehand. And that's what I want the reveal of, is that I want there to be something about that, like, Tim raped the girl that his brother wanted. Like, I want that piece. I want that piece that he isn't sorry that his brother's dead because his brother was a piece of shit somehow. Like, I want to see that piece, okay? I just want to see that piece of it, you know, because there's something else that Dad said too, which makes me think, like, I know this family is a little bit corrupt, and I also don't think that Tim is perfect, or that Tor is perfect at all. I think he's a corrupt, like, twisted guy, but I think he picked Cassie and he wants her, and everyone else can just go hang, honestly, is what he's proving, and I love that kind of stuff too. So, but anyway, he says, like, just because you were attracted to him, and she's like, but I had a boyfriend. He's like, I know all those things, and I'm not saying you wanted it, but I know you were attracted to him. And again, I think he knows that from her journal. Like, I think it was in her journal that she was attracted to him. And so there is a part of her that feels guilty that, like, she brought it on herself. And he's honestly, like, reassuring her, even though it feels twisted. He's like, it's okay, but, like, let's move on from it. We don't ever have to talk about him again. And, like, in the way he says it, it maybe feels like he's saying we're not going to talk about it again. But I don't know, reflecting upon it back, I think he's, like, leaving that journal behind. You don't have to dwell on it anymore. Like, it's taken care of. And it's like, again, it's not healthy. This is a dark romance. This isn't healthy therapy. This isn't a person you should actually date, but it's very interesting. So moving along to the parts that were a little bit creepy. Yes, I think it's almost 100% when we get his POV, we're going to know that he's been watching her. It's been confirmed that since they had driver's license when he was 16, Carson Walters, is their last name Walters? The dad basically kicked the boys out of the house into their own place. So I think this is my final guess, because again, I'm gonna get Tor's POV soon. I think he'd been watching her for 2 years. I think Tor had, and I think Tim knew, and I think that he kind of targeted her at this get together to fuck with his brother. Maybe I don't know, they're twins, but maybe Tim was jealous of Tor somehow, or I don't know, maybe, I don't know what. But I think he knew, and he was fucking with his brother a little bit. And so he targeted Cassie somehow and got her drunk and raped her. And I don't know why Tor never did anything. Maybe he did. Maybe he was. Maybe he set this up somehow. I don't know how he could have set it up for her to shoot Tim. I do not know how he could have done that. I don't know. San Mariano's men have done crazier shit before, and honestly much more disturbing shit than this, right? Because it's true, like he says, he said it. He's like, if my brother raped my girlfriend, I would kill him. And so he's saying it too. So it's like, she did the killing, but he's saying that, like, that's kind of why he's okay with it. Like, he's, like, saying that stuff. So anyway, keep going. So he starts bringing up the fact that she's going to need to re-meet his family when they're not at war anymore. She doesn't feel good about this, but he butters her up with that trip, and he's like, you need to meet my family because we're going to be together. He's already doing the San Mariano things, right, where, like, they're really forgetting birth control a lot of times. He's talking about them being married. When they go see a Great Gatsby, he's like, we're going to have a Gatsby wedding when we get married. He's lavishing her with gifts, and when they get back, he brings up that they need to have dinner. So that's the last thing that I read, is that they had this dinner. And she observes this dinner, and she's like, wow, yeah, this family, reality doesn't exist here. And she's amazed that by the end of dinner, not only has she found out that Tor has had his dad pull some strings so that she can get into the same college as him. Again, very, very similar to what Carter Mahoney's father also did for Zoe. Same kind of situation there. But she's honestly looking at how the situation is and is kind of like, wow, I almost forgot that I thought these people were monsters. And she's like, it's almost just like they couldn't imagine a world where, like, their son would be like this, and so they truly just shut it off that, like, he didn't do it, you know. But then, as they're leaving, she wants to talk to Carson. So she asks to go see him in his study before they leave. And Tor is like, yeah, we'll stop in. And she's like, no, I want to talk to him alone. And Tor is like, oh, I don't think that's a good idea. And she's like, no, I want to see him alone. The mom gets a bit twitchy about it. Almost like, wow, you're showing resistance against your partner or whatever. And she's like, it feels like fear, but maybe that's being a little dramatic. But reluctantly, Tor agrees. So anyway, she goes in to talk to the dad. So he's really ignoring her. So she says, like, thank you for calling in a favor. Carson says, I didn't do it for you. All right, I'm going to read this piece, and then I'm going to get back to it here. He says, I didn't do it for you. And she's like, well, okay, I'm going to leave then, because this isn't going well. And he says, do you know what my son said to me?
Your legacy depends on Cassie Pritchard. My son, my heir, is murdered in cold blood, and the one I have left tells my wife, that if we hope to know our grandchildren someday, we have to embrace the girl who got him killed. My heart sinks to my stomach. I've always taught my boys the importance of family loyalty, and Tim got it, he said. Tim understood that if you have to go to bat for your family, you do. He was always the good son. I swallow and feel my face heat. I'm not sure Torrance ever absorbed those lessons. Sometimes I worry that my son is a snake, and the only thing you can trust a snake to do is to strike. Whoever murdered my son, he killed the wrong one. That's such a monstrous thing to say. It sucks the air from my lungs. He notes my gasp of horror and look of revulsion, but they don't seem to bother him. Standing, he grabs the glass he set down and says, I hope you enjoyed tonight's performance as much as you enjoyed Gatsby, but it's over now. You can go. Woo! And that's the last thing I read. So that left me with a couple of thoughts, but I've said most of them already. What does that mean the wrong one died? Does that just mean that, like, because Tor would be loyal to her, because he would pick her over Tim? But yet that's confusing to me, because truly it is, because we're already seeing that, like, Carson would pick his wife over his kids. So it's interesting to me. What does that mean? And what does Tim got the family loyalty mean? Did Tim take the fall for Tor raping her? I still come back to that. I don't know. I don't fucking know if he did, but I know we're close to finding out. We're at 73%. It says that I have 100 pages left, but let me see, because she always has a lot of notes at the end. Yeah, I actually think that I only have about 100 pages left. The first chapter from Tor's POV is only 2 chapters away from now. And there's only 2 chapters of Tor's POV. Maybe one of the epilogues is in his point of view too, but I have only 8 chapters left. So I will come back when it's over and let you know. I mean, maybe I'll pop in before then, but it's crazy. It's crazy.
All right, you guys. Okay, it is the next day, and I know I left with that, though it's not a cliffhanger because we're keeping it up, but I finished 2 wrongs, and where I stopped with that, this is crazy sauce, I found out the twist. And we're going to go over what happened in the last 25% of this book, how I feel about this journey now, though maybe it'll be a bit repetitive if you watch the beginning. I don't know. I'm still spinning so much because my initial feeling was like, wow, this was really cool. And now just sitting with it and talking with my friend who, she started behind me, but my friend Shauna, who we've been reading together since we were 13 years old. We've done like our dark romance journey together. She's the one who y'all can thank if you ever read a Sam Mariano off of my recommendation, because she's the one who got me to give Carter Mahoney a try, who got me to read everything else I ever read by her, because I was too scared to read Untouchable, and she was just like, girl, please try it. And then one day when I was homesick from work, I tried Untouchable, and the rest is history. So anyway, whenever there's a new Sam Mariano, we're reading them together. And though I did start it before her, she quickly surpassed me. But also because I was stopping to talk to you guys, because whatever. I'm reiterating, and this vlog is already going to be so long, but it was so much fun to vlog it. And I don't regret that, because there are only a couple books that I've been able to vlog my experience reading in the past few years, just because that's just not the style of the content I'm able to do anymore. But again, I've already talked about that in this video too. Keep to the facts. So, coming back into this, like where I just ended it. So, I was making predictions through this whole thing, and let's just say it, I was right. I was right with kind of my main prediction I was making. Tor is the one who assaulted Cassie. Though how it came about was half what I thought and half what I didn't think. And straight up in the first chapter of this book, the truth is revealed to you, which I love that kind of twist. And I'm going to make a comparison to which book this reminded me of a little bit, though they are completely different books, but it's that kind of trick that an author does that I really get a kick out of. And so in the end, even though if you've seen my rating on Goodreads by now, and I maybe said it in the beginning of this video, I'm settling on like a 4 stars for this book just because of how I feel about Sam Mariano's books on a grander scale. I have a hierarchy of them, and this one probably sits at a mid-tier. The reading experience was pretty high up there just because I had fun, and I didn't have as huge a pit of dread as the book was going on as I did. I was more just like, okay, what is it? How is this all going to play out? Like, I just wanted to know so badly. But I shouldn't feel this giddy about the situation. I guess that's, I don't know, maybe I am representing so much of what people are twisted about, but it's not. This is fiction. This isn't real. And the way that she played this all out, this story all out, it's supposed to feel like a fairy tale in a way. And I never get that twisted, right? I don't think this is happening to women in real life. And if it was, I would want this man in prison, okay? And I would feel absolutely awful if this was happening to her. But the way it plays out in this story was fascinating. So, but what I was still waiting for is like, I had a good feeling is the wrong word. I didn't have a good feeling about him being the one to do it, but I had like a 80-20 that he was the one who had raped her. I really felt like he had been the one to do it. The only little part of me I wasn't sure is Tim was this unknown entity to me. And for a good part of the book too, and I can't remember if I talked about it in which clip. I did rewatch some of my clips before filming this one just because I wanted to see which theories I was making to you guys and which ones I was making to Shauna so that I could wrap this up, right? So I was watching my clips and making notes here so that I could talk about it. The only thing that was kind of an unknown entity was Tim. Like, what kind of man was Tim? Like, was he as much of a psychopath as his brother? And were they like both fucking around with each other? So that like, was this a case of like Tim got to Cassie first? Like, that's the only part I wasn't sure of, because the way things were playing out and the way that it became clear that Tor was watching Cassie, I was pretty sure he would have done something like this. Just with how he was testing her, how he was trying to figure her out, how he was, you know, surveilling her and laying out these, you know, control of her life. And again, that's super dark. It is. But if you have read Sam Mariano's backlist, again, Tor's pretty tame in a lot of ways. Like, he is, like, when this all played out, he's pretty tame compared to a lot of other guys. And, you know, besides a couple things he ends up doing here, he's really not any darker than anybody else. It's the reading experience of me recording this and trying to guess what happens. And truly, I didn't look at any spoilers by being able to read this the minute it came out and getting through it. I had no clue what was happening, and I didn't cheat. I didn't peek. The only thing that I looked at was when I would get Tor's chapters. That is the only peeking I did, because obviously I knew this was going to be a dual POV, but she waits till very late in the game to give you any answers. You don't get his POV until, I have it pulled up here because I am going to finish this off by reading a little bit of his. You get his first POV. Sorry, I skipped past it here. You get his first POV at chapter 38, and it is 78% in. And then you get basically 3 chapters from his POV. You get 2 chapters and 1 epilogue is from Tor's POV. So, and that basically clears up stuff. But the only unknown entity to me was Tim. And given the fact that, like I said, Tor didn't even say Tim's name until 56% of the book, I started tracking that. And then when we got that part from his dad, which was the last part that I read to you guys, where his dad was like, whoever killed my son killed the wrong one, I paired that with, you know, and again, I was not ahead of the story. I was guessing that Tor had raped her, but I was also just like, to me, that would be what the twist would be, right? So by the time it's revealed that he did, it doesn't even feel like a twist. What I did think was a twist was how it's revealed and who confirms it, because that's not how I was expecting it. But again, in the very first chapter, Tim says, I didn't rape you. But you're supposed to take that as he's trying to gaslight her, right? Like, you're supposed to take that because that's the gaslighting that that's the gaslighting that Cassie's been living under for a year. The whole town's been telling her that Tim didn't do it. And even Tim's been saying, kind of, that he had sex with her, but that it wasn't rape, it was sex. The thing is Tim's been lying, but not about that it was rape. He's been lying that he had sex with her. That's what the lie was. That it wasn't Tim at all. And it wasn't Tim saying that she wanted it. Tim had nothing to do with it. Oh, which is just nuts because Tim was innocent. Like, honestly, Tim was innocent, but the family loyalty that gets spoken about in the Walters family was Tim immediately knew that his brother did it. And I'm just going to keep going along this track because I don't need to hit on everything. But when we get Tor's point of view, we find out that, you know, Tim knew that his brother did it. But Tim didn't really care. He was just like, why, bro? And Tor was like, oh, I was drunk and I wanted her. And the thing is, they both had liked her. But to Tim, he just thought Cassie was pretty. And they had both liked Cassie before. And Tim just figured Tor got to her first. And so he figured he would take the heat. Cassie wouldn't be able to prove that Tim had raped her. And this is the, like, twisted part of Tor. Because Tor wanted Cassie, like, this is his thought process here, which was crazy because this was my reverse thought process when I thought Tim had actually raped her. This is what's crazy when, like, or what's crazy brilliant about her is because when I thought Tim had actually done it and I thought Tim was a psychopath, I was thinking, well, if he knew his brother was into Cassie, if Tim had raped Cassie, he knew he would ruin the chances for Tor because how could she ever fall for the guy who looked like her rapist? Well, it was the other way around because Tor thought if he assaulted her and she thought it was Tim, then he could sweep in and play the hero and win her over being his more reserved, soft self. And she would truly see him for who he was, which who he really is a psychotic rapist. But no one ever sees Tor. They always see Tim. But now Tim's dead because Cassie didn't do that. She was still with her boyfriend for a while. And he didn't get a chance to do that. And then the lie just kept getting bigger. And instead of Cassie moving on, the whole town turned on her. And he never got the chance to do that. And, you know, his whole thing, you know, when she asked, like, you never stood up for me, it was like he never got his chance to sweep in and play the hero. And then she spiraled into this darkness. She tanked her grades, which that was the part that I read you in my, like, second clip about her talking about all the things that happened, how her life was ruined. And, you know, she says, I'm sorry you're having to hear this. And he was like, no, this conversation needed to happen. Well, in a twisted way, like, it is interesting because when we get to the parts about what I love about Sam Mariano is it's like, these are all the things she wanted to say to her rapist about how he destroyed her life. And she's saying them to him. She's saying them to him. And he is absorbing them. And the fucked up part is when we get Tor's POV, because he's a psychopath. He's not, like, feeling absolutely wrecked about that he did this. But he does realize how he fucked up her life. And because it's a San Mariano hero, he's like, I'm going to make all those things better for her. And I'm going to bust her out of the cage she was in. And her life is going to be perfect. And she's never going to have to worry about anything again. And in the end, this is going to be a good thing. Right? Oh, it's so fucked up. But it's Sam Mariano and she does it so good. So anyway, let me finish up what was crazy. So the person who confirms it, though, I should talk about that, which was bonkers, okay? So again, the crazy part of all this is because Tor is the one who did this to her and she accused Tim. Cassie is a liar. Tor made Cassie a liar. So everything the town said about her accusing Tim was true. And that is just so fucked up. It's so fucked up. Like, oh, this book is bonkers because everything she accused Tim of, like, it's true. And the person who reveals it to her, and this feels so shitty. It feels so shitty. But, like, Also, this girl is right, okay? So Tim, who again, he was no gem, but like, he was just kind of a stupid, like, stuck up, rich bro who could have any girl he wanted. So he's like, why would I have to rape this girl? Which is the exact attitude that annoys us. But in Tim's case, it was true because he wasn't going around raping anyone. Okay. He wasn't obsessed with a girl that he was, gonna rape to get her. I really should stop saying that word at this point in the video, but we're so long into it. So the reason why Tim absolutely didn't do this, he wasn't so drunk that he didn't remember, which was one of the things that I guessed. I was like, does Tim even know? No, because Tim was hooking up with Nina. And Nina, who was his, like, good time gal, she had even offered to speak up in a court case. But again, Tim didn't want her to do that because he, like, the point wasn't to, the point was to kind of get Cassie to just, like, take a payout and go away. Because, again, the family knew that Tor did it. Tor told the lawyer that he did it. But Tim was gonna... So they didn't really want Nina to say that and, like, definitively do that. Because, honestly, he does have a twin brother. And they just kind of couldn't believe, too, that that Cassie wasn't clicking it into place either. And having Nina, say that could have put it into place. And Cassie just was too distraught to click it into place either. And also there wasn't any like physical proof of rape besides the fact that, like, there was blood because Cassie was a virgin, because Tor didn't want to hurt Cassie. Because again, he loved her. So he, like, she was drunk. She was in Tim's bed. She was attracted to Tim. That's why that conversation, again, I can't remember if I talked about it in my clip, but she had asked for her journal back and he didn't want to give it to her. And he says it's because you talk about Tim a lot. And he's like, I'm not blaming you. I'm not saying you wanted to be raped because you were attracted to Tim, but, like, let's stop talking about Tim. Remember, I tracked that. That's the first time he talked about Tim. And I was a little bit like, this is weird. That this is the first time he's talked about Tim. But there's a couple reasons why he keeps that journal, and I'll come back to it in a minute here. But she was attracted to Tim. They were friendly. Remember, they were neighbors, and he invited her to this party. They maybe had a little bit of pity on her because she was the poor neighbor and she was pretty, or Tim did anyway. Again, Tor was obsessed with her. And Tor, like, sorry, this is going to be creepy, but he used a condom and he lubed her up really good. And if she hadn't been a virgin, she wouldn't have been hurt at all. He purposely did that. And again, that is not to say what he did was okay. But the point was, he wanted her to know that she was assaulted and blame his brother, but he didn't want to hurt her and he didn't want there to be evidence of hurt. The whole point was so that she would have to let it go, and then he could sweep in and, like, kind of blame his brother, but then be a hero. It just didn't go that way because, honestly, he wasn't enough of a psychopath yet, just to say the least. He'd never really used these machinations yet either because he's only ever been obsessed with her. That's the thing you get once you get into his mind, is that he uses his obsession and his skill fully for Cassie. That is what this man is completely about. And that's what you get from his POV. And this is what Sam Mariano does so well. And it's what, in my opinion, is, like, kind of fun about it. In the fucked up sense of dark romance. Okay, like, why are we even here if you're not enjoying this and having fun? If you think this is too fucked up to enjoy it, like, then just don't read it. Just go. Like, that's the whole point of the, like, Hunting Adeline. Like, this is fucked up. Cassie's life. He's obsessed with her. She has no option. She can't go anywhere. Okay, so let's just have fun within this universe we're in. These people are not real. This isn't really happening to her. Does it make me squirm and make me uncomfortable? Yes, but I enjoy that now and then, and I enjoy how Sam Mariano tells a story. So I keep bringing that up because I know some people get all judgy about it. I'm like, then, like, don't read this book. You really don't have to. But I had fun with it because it's just so fucked up and there's no place for her to go. That's what's crazy. But I also think it's interesting because there are parts of this where I always am like, why is she always writing them at 18? Because I'm like, oh, can't they be a little bit older? But then you're living in it too. And I'm like, well, no, it's because they're just starting out and they're making mistakes. And the mistakes are what make this work. Because if you'd been too perfect at this, like, Tim wouldn't have ended up dead. And then this doesn't turn into almost this, like, whodunit / thriller / there were points where I was like, is Tim still alive? Because there was a quote I kept too, when we're in Tor's point of view, where it ended up being that he would hold the burden that, and I'll get to this part where he does with what he does with Nina, where he's like, I have to hold the secret. She can't handle it. And I was like, oh my God, did Tim live? Because after she shot Tim and he chooses to help her, we're pretty sure Tim's dead, but like, we don't fully see that. I was like, well, did Tim end up living? Did Tim end up living? And like, all of this was a game around her? Because that's the thing too, is we find out by the end of this, spoiler alert, that, all of this is spoilers, that, they're going to go to Calhoun University. He's a part of the cult. I'm calling it a cult, but it's the secret society as well. We get hints of that. He's already being inducted into that because of who his family is. We get peeks at the coastal elites and stuff like that, which don't even get me started on the timeline of that because they're freshmen, but the other people are all, it's the start of a new year, but they were seniors in this one. So like, they're just still hanging around another year like they were seeing. So Sam, that doesn't make sense. I just got to say, like, in Brutal Ambition, all those guys are seniors. But then, like, they're freshmen in this one. And, like, they're all just still hanging out there. I don't know. Maybe they started the year with them. I don't know. That was weird. But the timeline's hinky with that. That's okay. They all can just be there at the same time. That's fine. But also, it could have been that he was starting the year with Dare and with other people who are there at that time. But whatever. It's fine. Everybody just keeps joining that are all in the same year of school. But whatever. So anyway, where was I going with this? Blah, 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 blah. I'm losing my train of thought and I really got to land this plane. This video is so fucking long. So anyway, having them be at the beginning of this and still making mistakes is very interesting. But yeah, they have to be 18 so that he can like remove her from her mother's home, so that he can like get her into college, so that he can have his trust fund, which who gives an 18-year-old a trust fund? You don't get your trust fund at 18. I'm sorry. Maybe you get a portion of stuff, but nobody gives you your properties. Nobody gives you owning of an apartment building at 18. Okay, show it to me. Show it to me. Okay, no. That's usually 21 or 25. I don't know. Maybe he gets partial stuff at 18 and he'll get more at those ages, but like you don't get that stuff then. I'm sorry. I won't believe it. I don't believe it. Okay, but let's finish up. So it's Nina who confirms it. Because there is the 4th of July party. After that meeting with the dad, where the dad says he killed the wrong one, she goes to the 4th of July party, and Nina's there because her family's get invited. And Nina's pissy with Cassie. And you're like, oh God, it's a rich bitch. Well, no. Here's the thing that's fucked up. I come back to this. Tor made her a liar. Because guess what? Tim didn't rape her. And Nina knows that. Because Nina was being fucked by Tim at the same time Tor was raping her. So Nina was Tim's alibi. And again, Nina was like, babe, I can testify for you and I will eviscerate Cassie because you were fucking me when she says you were fucking her. So obviously she was lying because she was jealous. So Nina looks like a total bitch. Okay, and I'm not saying she's not a bitch, but she was a bitch who was telling the truth. The only problem is that truth is very inconvenient for Tor at this point because not only is it inconvenient because, it's the truth, but it's a truth that got, like, Tim killed, and Tim's already dead. So there's no, exonerating him or anything, but it's also the truth that's going to blow up Tor and Cassie's relationship. And again, once we get in Tor's mind, and here's the thing, Cassie has already had these hints, right? Remember when Tor was fucking Cassie and he put his hand over her mouth and said, shh, which is something that happened to her that she thought Tim was doing. And she's like, oh, Tor couldn't have known that his brother did that to me. Oh, honey. Sweet baby child. You give him too much credit. And so she starts to spiral and she realizes it. And the thing is, again, to her, it isn't even that he's the one who raped her at this point. Because she's discovered, honestly, I like him enough. Cool. It's the fact that he made her a murderer. And then he murdered someone who had nothing to do with this. So what? Russell was a shitty boyfriend? He didn't rape her. He didn't beat her. She had good times with Russell. Okay, he was a little pushy about wanting sex. So what? He was 18 years old. He didn't force her into anything. He just wasn't Tor, I guess. And Tor killed him and made him look like a murderer. So, the two wrongs, in my opinion, in the title of this book are actually both Tor's, because he, caused Cassie to kill his brother, which I don't care. I'm putting that squarely on Tor, because, Tor tries to rationalize that Tim couldn't apologize, he couldn't even fake apologize, because even if he was taking the fault, because that's the thing too, that Sam's rationalizing it as Tor, and I think it's very clever how she does this. This is maybe when I should read some stuff so we can land this plane here. Because Tor's rationalization, which I do enjoy to some degree here, where he rationalizes this. Let me find it. Okay, so what he does, though, is she figures this out. Of course, she's freaked out. She wants space. And he decides that instead of them having this confronting conversation where he explains everything that he's explained to us through his POV of what he did, why he did it, he was like, if she had slept with Tim, she would never see me. People always see Tim first. Now that Tim's gone, people see me, but they always saw Tim first because he was more captivating than me. And now Nina is paying attention to me and thinks that Cassie will just be gone. Again, Nina, she's just who she is too, right? But she also thinks Cassie accused someone of rape, and then Russell killed her. So again, this is why so many people are blaming Cassie for Tim's death, because Tor made it that way. Tor is the reason Tim is dead. He is. Tor is the reason that his twin is dead, and he really doesn't have any compassion for Tim. But he'll say these things like, I loved my brother. And I'm really like, did you love your brother? Well, in his mind, he loved his brother, but his loyalty was to his wife. And what's interesting too, I bring this back around. Nope, I won't yet, because he's going to read it in his. So this is what he says about Cassie, though. He says this. He says, Cassie is my person, and she's the only one I want or need. I loved my brother, but felt no hesitation in burying him to save her. I love my parents, but even after a lifetime of being taught it was the ultimate sin, I was willing to betray them to give her the life she wanted, and I would do it all again for her. I don't regret anything I've done to make Cassie mine, though I do wish I could have spared her the pain of going through it alone. I'll never let her face anything alone again. I was programmed for family loyalty, but what my father never anticipated was that I would consider someone else my family. They were the family I was born into, but I had no say in that. I want a family I get to build myself, and she's the only person I want to create it with. Most people I can live with or without, but Cassie is irreplaceable to me. And that's when he tells Nina she's going to lie to Cassie and say that no, she wasn't fucking Tim. She was fucking him. They were both drunk and ended up hooking up, and Tim raped Cassie. So, he threatens Nina. He does a very threatening thing to her, threatens to kill her, and says, you are going to admit that we had sex last year and that we were both drunk at that party and it was us, and that it was Tim that raped her. So that she was right to shoot Tim, and that Russell was right to kill her, and that I was right to kill Russell, whatever, so that we can do it. Now the thing is Nina does do this. She's very convincing. She does her very best, almost desperately tries to convince him. And I completely understand why Nina does that. But here's the thing. This is what Cassie thinks about what Nina says. So, did Tim decide to take a bullet for his brother when he didn't think the shot would prove lethal? Maybe. The night I shot him, Tim said, I didn't rape you, Pritchard. And I thought he was just trying to gaslight me. But maybe he was telling the truth. Taking the bullet for his brother was one thing. When it was just a court case, he was expecting to win. But when I was standing there with a loaded gun, his commitment wavered. Did Tor draw up plans and hand them to Nina, directing her to come here and convince me he's innocent so that I'll come back to him? He might have. The thing about doubt is that once that seed is planted, it's nearly impossible to fully dig up. The roots sprout immediately, poisoning the fresh soil it's planted in. Even if it's removed fairly quickly, its essence lingers. The soil is never as fertile and trusting as it was before doubt touched it. Maybe if he would have denied it immediately, if I had witnessed a sense of betrayal cross his face, that I would even think that about him. But that's not what I saw, because that's not what he felt, and I don't know what that means, and maybe I never will. So I don't think Cassie believes him. I think she knows, but she decides that she's gonna believe what he told her, and I think Tor knows that she doesn't believe it. But as long as she's playing along and she's staying with him. Honestly, no, I think that's the part too. I think it's like, as long as she's staying with him, he doesn't mind. He gets her into Calhoun University, and they're going to go to the same college that all of our other elites go to. And he proposes to her. And they're going to be there. Let me see. There was some final things here. Here's one here too. To me, the sides of Tor that I see, I know he's wonderful, but I can see how, from the outside looking in, if only given a glimpse, things might look a little dysfunctional. They're not, though. We function incredibly well together. I figure Mira, which is Tor's mother, probably feels the same way from the inside of her fairy tale prison. I'm not in prison, though. As long as I never want to leave, I'm completely free. And who would want to leave Tor anyway? He's perfect. At least he's perfect for me. So then we have them in college and everything. So that is 2 wrongs. And that was just wild. So here's my final thoughts on this. And thank you if you made it all the way here. I mean, please, if you made it all the way here, like this video and join in the discussion with me below, because this has been so fun. Like, first up, I want to put that in before I get into my thoughts on what I'm comparing this with and everything. No matter how I feel about this story by the end of it, this was so much fun. Like I said, I don't get to do this very often anymore. And getting to kind of indulge in diving into this story, I think I spent about 12 hours in it total, which I know that doesn't sound like a ton, but for me, that's a lot. I don't really get to spend that much time in one book, just getting to analyze it and highlight everything and have that kind of journey with the book. And I think this one will be really fun. I mean, that's definitely going to be one I annotate in the future because I made notes all the way through the ebook. My physical copy will be here soon, probably by the time this vlog goes up, because this vlog, I think, is going to be my extra video that goes up on a Tuesday. I'm going to hold it for a little bit since it's a spoiler vlog to give people time to read it if they want to. But it was just so much fun. So when it all comes down, I have a few notes about it. I did think there was going to be more to it. When you watch it back, I pretty much guessed what happened pretty early. Now, I did think there was, I think my little twist that I thought maybe who she really thought was Tor. I thought she shot Tor and Tim was who was living and Tim was who raped her. I think still the person who was still living, the brother who was still living, I thought was who raped her. I think that kind of plays with the I thought it was Tor who raped her. The biggest clue to me, when I look at it as a whole of the very first time I thought it, when I look at my notes, was her discussion with the lawyer. That was when I knew. The lawyer, I feel too, was almost trying to tell her in a way without telling her. Because the lawyer knew. That's the thing. Everyone knew that Tor was the one who raped her. And in a way, I feel that the panic the mother showed too, right before, the dad, I think, even tells her to her face, the person you shot was the wrong one. But of course, too, that's right before it's starting to click into place. People are, and she doesn't tell him that too. The few things she doesn't tell him, the few things he's not able to listen in on are people telling her, he did this to you. but she's not clicking that into place. She thinks it's just people who liked Tim better. Like, that's the thing. Every bias was for Tim, but it was true. Like, Tim wasn't even a shitty a person, but because she was so sure that he was her rapist, she then believed everything. And really, again, so Tim was a rich playboy. Everything he did was consensual. And Tor was an obsessed man. Like, when we're in his thoughts, he says, like, he's liked her since the 3rd grade. He thought she was cute on the playground. He liked her when they were young, and she never noticed him. He talks about getting in fights with boys who she had a crush on, and but he never made a move. He never tried, by the way. He said she noticed his brother first, but he never tried. And when she had a boyfriend, he kept waiting for it to fizzle out. He never tried. His first try with her was to rape her and make her think it was his brother, and then hope he could swoop in and be the hero. Like, that was his first try. And I'm like, okay. But I mean, that's San Mariano. So again, I'm not like, but like, that was his first try, was let me rape her and make her think it's my brother, because then she'll never look at my brother. But she's also, but then she's also going to see, like, anyway, he's not normal, so whatever. But anyway, yeah, like, in the first chapter, it's there when Tim says, like, I didn't rape you, but you just think he's being a gaslighting piece of shit. And it's fascinating. So I truly, like, when you look at San Mariano's work as a whole, what I think she does is I think she finds these different, like, facets of a psychopath, and that's what she locks into to wanting to do, right? You know, she has the one that's almost completely detached and becomes obsessed and wanting to completely isolate and own them, right? Like a dare. And then she has the one who kind of likes to be more of the bully. You know, one like Landon, right? And then she has one like Carter, who it starts as an assault. And now he's fascinated by how she reacted to the assault. And now he's obsessed. And then you have, honestly, someone like Mateo, who it starts as, I'm vetting you for someone else. And now I'm obsessed with you because I see how you are and I understand what kind of woman you are. And I realize you'd be perfect for me. So I want you. And then you have someone like Tor, who it starts as such a sweet crush. But because of the type of family he's in, he only knows obsessive love. Honestly, that's a little like Sylvan too, by the way. But Sylvan, sorry, I'll start with Sylvan too. Sylvan just does do the thing where he's like, well, I'm just going to take you right away. Like, he's like, well, I'm not going to give you a chance to get to know me. I'm just like keeping you from me right now, you know? He's that kind. And he has the family power and money to do it. And then the dad who's like, you better not leave because if you upset my son, then I'm going to have to kill you, you know? And then we have, Tor, who it starts out as such a sweet crush and he just doesn't know how to get how he wants and get what he wants. And it ends up like this. Like, it's almost like he overcalculates it. You know, like he does all of these things. Like he has, like when we get in his point of view, he has a Cassie computer, the one he uses for spying on her and all these things. But he doesn't just try asking her out. He doesn't just try getting her. And maybe he mentions that. No, I think like Tim maybe tries with her and gets a brush off. But who knows how Tim tried? Like, did Tim just probably tried picking her up, you know? What did Tor try? You know, Tor probably knows her better than Tim did. And no, he started with rape. So it's like he overdid it. So anyway, fascinating. I love how San Mariano does things. She's brilliant. So rounding this off, I gave this one 4 stars. It's really hard to rate hers. But like I said a little bit earlier, in the San Mariano hierarchy, this is not the worst for me. But it's definitely not a favorite. I initially too, like, gut reaction when I finished, because again, I had such a fun reading experience. I'll talk about that in a second. So I gave it a 5-star, and then I immediately had people being like, oh yeah, I'm so excited, I'm so glad you loved it. And then I was like, wait, I shouldn't give this a 5-star. I probably shouldn't have rated it right away anyway, because I knew I was going to want to discuss it. So I put it down to a 4. So I was like, okay, I should tell people it's a 4, because it is a 4 for me. I still stand by too, like, Dare is still my least favorite, though I am planning a reread of that book, because of which she has said, I know she had said this before, but I believe Devotion is the next book that's coming. And I know that Dare and that stuff is, like, I just know that stuff is coming up again. So I'm planning a reread of Even If It Hurts, and I wonder if I'll feel different about Dare. I really want to try to go in and analyze that as a long game type of book and see how I'll feel about it. But still, Even If It Hurts is one of my least favorite. And so is, like, Resisting Mr. Granville. That's not really my favorite either. And I like this one more than those ones. But I always have such a good time reading her books, because just, I never know what's coming. You know, I never know what's coming. And so with this one, the anticipation of where it was going held me more than when it actually got there. Because like I said, I figured out pretty soon what it was. And so when I got to the end and it was just what I thought it was, that Tor was the one who did it, and there wasn't some other twist that, like, I don't know, that he was tricked into doing it, or that his brother was a psycho too, that he just did it to, like, get her attention, basically. It kind of, I wrote this, sorry, pardon me, but I said this, I thought he was going to be more like Dare, and he kind of was just a pussy who was afraid to ask her out and get what he wanted, afraid he wouldn't compare to his brother, and he ended up breaking her. And I know, a lot of Sam Mariano's heroines have to get broken, but she explains how broken she was by it. And of course we, like, never have to acknowledge that, because, you know, he's pretending his brother's the one who did it. And she, you know, he's able to really talk about it like, if my brother had done this to you, I would kill him. He says things like that. And it's like, but you're the one who did it. And your brother still died for it, you know? So there's, like, a lot of heavy things that, like, we ignore. Now, the thing about Sam Mariano's books, though, is, like, life's not fair. And the rich boys get away with it. Like, that's the point. And it's kind of interesting in this one, too, because you think in the beginning that, like, the rich boy's not getting away with it. But actually, an innocent rich boy died, okay? Like, Tim didn't deserve it. And the other one's getting away with it. And once you know, like, Tor's mother and sister, and even dad, like, did they deserve to lose that? Like, when you look back on it, I feel bad for Carson. But at the same time, you see all the layers, because you're like, well, they were just going to let a son get away with rape no matter which one. And it's their own fault too, because they let Tim be put in that position. And I'm sure they're kicking themselves, because if they had said, no, Tor, we're not letting Tim take the fall. If the Wright brother had been forced to admit what he did, then Cassie wouldn't have thought that Tim had done it, and she wouldn't have shot Tim. So all of the things that they did to enable this led to the death of their own son. So it's like, it's even more than 2 wrongs. It's everybody being that. So anyway, it's still so fascinating. That's why, like, I don't hate this book at all. It's so cool. But again, it's also all of that building up on each other. That's great. But the romance itself just felt like it's not my favorite romance. It's all the thought-provoking discussion the book gives me that I think are so cool. And I love when Sam does that. So I really can't wait to have some discussions in her reader group about this, and to see more thoughts that she has to share about it. Because that's what I love about dark romance. There's so many parts to talk about it, and there's no, you know, there's so many parts about it that are unsatisfying. And then in the end, like, she even says, like, I'm perfectly happy as long as I never want to leave. And there are plenty of her books that feel that way. It's one of the things I always talk about in, like, Untouchable, is that one, to me, the longer I go about it and the more that I reread that book, that one feels the most satisfying of an HEA, is because I don't think Zoe does want to leave Carter, ever, right? I don't think that if she was offered a chance to leave him at the point they are at the end of that book, that she wants to. I think she truly loves him, and they worked through a lot. And the truth is, it's because I don't think that Carter is a psychopath at all. I think he went through trauma as a kid. I think he made some big fucking mistakes with Zoe, but she truly loves him. And all of his manipulating shit that he did when they're teens, like, I don't think he carries that with them as adults. I don't think that. I don't. And people can argue with me or whatever, but Zoe and him will work through stuff. They talk through stuff. And yes, he's possessive. And would he let her go easily? No. But he doesn't have the psychopathy, right? Because we see that when he gets to a certain place in there where he's like, I can't force you to love me, but like, I want you to love me. And not really any other of Sam's heroes do that. So again, people can disagree, but that is the most functional relationship at the end of the day of all of them. This is not one of those. Cassie can't ever leave. So that's fine if she's deluded herself into thinking that she's in a good spot because she can't go anywhere. None of the women in the coastal elites, I mean, except for Peyton I think Peyton and Landon. Is it Peyton and Landon? Except for her. If she ever wanted to leave, she could, because her father-in-law wouldn't force her to stay with Landon. But she's the only one who could probably get out of that relationship if she wanted to. Everyone else, they're stuck. So you better believe that it's there. Now the final piece, what this felt like. The reading experience of this one felt like pen pal to me. That's what I wanted to say on it. This reading experience felt like pen pal in that I really had no idea what was going on. Completely different. There's nothing paranormal about this. None of that. That would have been very interesting, right? Like when she went to Tim's tomb I should read that piece to end this off. I should read that piece. Okay, so she actually goes to the Walter family mausoleum. And she says this. She says, I don't know if you can hear me, and I don't know how death works in case you can. I'm so confused. I don't know what to believe anymore. If there's one thing your family is very good at, it's making me feel crazy. Honestly, if trophies were given out, Walter's family gets it in a landslide. Guess you can add that one to your trophy case. Though it may not be on the wall anymore. Tor wrecked something in your bedroom last night. I'm not sure what it was. Anyway, I could never understand. We were friends once. Not good friends, but friendly at least. We liked each other, didn't we? In some capacity. And after everything, you saw how much it hurt me, and you just... I would never understand why you couldn't just say you were sorry. Why you didn't mean it. Because I knew if I ever hurt someone like that, even if it had been unintentional, which yours was absolutely not, I would apologize. They wouldn't have had to drag it out of me because I would mean it from the bottom of my heart. Would want to give that to them. I would feel terrible if I ever hurt someone the way you hurt me, and you couldn't even give me that respect of an apology. I'm murky on the details right now, but if Nina is telling the truth, maybe I understand. You didn't feel the apology was your responsibility because you knew. But I didn't know. Didn't you understand that? I thought you were so callous because you were protecting yourself, but maybe you were protecting him. Either way, you did it callously. Callousness doesn't deserve a death sentence, though, so if I was wrong, I want you to know I'm truly sorry, and I'll carry the weight of what I did to you for the rest of my life. I know it doesn't change anything. It's too late. It doesn't matter, but it would have mattered to me, so. I feel the tears welling again, and I've said all I really needed to say, so I stand, clear my throat, and turn my back to the mausoleum. I don't try to stop the tears this time. I let them track down my cheeks as I head to the car. Once I'm inside, I glance at the mausoleum one last time, knowing I won't be back. Goodbye, Tim. So, I think that's the part that's really hard too, because when we start this book, it's really powerful because she is planning to go kill Tim, and she feels already dead. She's saying, I've already been dead for a year. So I just don't feel like at the end of this book we like acknowledge enough that like she felt like death after her rape. And knowing that it was Tor that did that now and not Tim, I don't think we closed that loop quite enough. Just saying, but it feels good that she got to say that to Tim. And anyway, again, I'm not saying he's an angel, but did he deserve to get shot for not raping a girl? I don't know. There's just so much complex about here, you know? But, oh, there's just so much good. Anyway, time to wrap this up. This was fascinating. I had such a good time reading this twisted book. And Sam Mariano is a genius. She's a genius, and I love her stories. So thank you so much for watching this entire long blabbling thing. I'm sure it is a couple hours long at least. So if you made it this far, please make sure you like it. Please make sure you're subscribed to my channel. And I have a whole video about all the books by Sam Mariano if you want to check that out. I have a whole playlist about dark romances if you would like some more recommendations for dark romances. And, excuse me. And yeah, I don't really know how to end it except that. So thanks for watching. Bye.